A young solo hiker ventured into the dense Amazon rainforest for what was supposed to be a life-changing adventure, but she vanished without a trace, leaving her family in agonizing limbo. For 2 harrowing weeks, search teams combed the unforgiving jungle, finding nothing, until a group of local guides stumbled upon a massive anaconda with a suspicious bulge in its belly. What they discovered inside shocked the world and shattered every assumption about survival in the wild. The phone call came at 3:47 a.m. on August 15, 2012, ripping through the quiet of a modest apartment in Quito, Ecuador. Maria Valdez clutched the receiver, her heart pounding as the voice on the other end delivered the news no mother ever wants to hear. Her daughter, Sofia Valdez, 24, hadn't returned from her solo trek into the Amazon. Sofia, vibrant and fiercely independent, had promised to check in every 3 days via satellite phone. But the last message, sent on August 1st, was a simple text. Deep in the canopy. Feels like another world. Love you all. Now, silence. Maria's world collapsed in that instant, a wave of terror and helplessness crashing over her. She pictured Sofia's warm smile, her curly hair tied back under a wide-brimmed hat, her backpack slung over strong shoulders honed from years of outdoor pursuits. Sofia wasn't just any hiker. She was a passionate ecologist, fresh from university, drawn to the Amazon's biodiversity like a moth to flame. This trip was her dream, to document rare flora in a remote section of Ecuador's Yasuni National Park. But the jungle had swallowed her whole. Maria's husband, Diego, paced the room, his face etched with worry. Their only child, Sofia, had always been the adventurer in the family. Growing up in the shadow of the Andes, she traded city life for trails early on, volunteering with conservation groups and leading eco-tours. At 24, she was fit, knowledgeable, equipped with GPS, a machete, and enough supplies for a week. She knew the risks: flash floods, venomous insects, elusive predators, but she thrived on them. "The Amazon tests you," she'd say with a grin, "and I always pass." Diego replayed her words in his mind, clinging to hope. Maybe a dead battery, maybe a wrong turn. But deep down, fear gnawed at him. The Amazon wasn't forgiving. It claimed lives routinely, from seasoned explorers to careless tourists. By dawn, Maria and Diego were at the local police station, pleading for action. The officer, a grizzled veteran named Raul Mendoza, listened with a sympathetic nod. Disappearances in the Amazon were common, over 100 reported that year alone, but Sofia's case stood out. She wasn't a novice. Her itinerary was detailed, filed with park rangers. She'd entered the park on July 28th, planning a 10-day loop through secondary forest, avoiding tourist zones for untouched wilderness. Her last known position from the satellite ping placed her near the Shiripuno River, a twisting waterway flanked by towering kapok trees and thick undergrowth. Mendoza activated protocol, alerts to rangers, coordination with Ecuador's Ministry of Environment. A search and rescue team assembled quickly, local guides familiar with the terrain, volunteers from nearby indigenous communities, and a handful of military personnel with helicopters. The first day of the search was a blur of urgency. Helicopters buzzed over the canopy, their rotors slicing the humid air, while ground teams hacked through vines with machetes. The Amazon was a labyrinth, rivers that shifted with rains, trails obscured by fallen leaves, and a symphony of sounds that masked human cries. Howler monkeys screeching, birds calling, insects buzzing endlessly. Sofia's gear was top-notch, a bright orange tent, reflective markers on her pack. They shouted her name until throats went raw, scanned for footprints in the mud, checked riverbanks for signs of a slip. Nothing. Not a scrap of fabric, not a broken branch. As night fell, the teams regrouped at a makeshift camp, faces slick with sweat and defeat. Mendoza radioed Maria. "We're not giving up. She's smart. She could be holed up waiting." But days stretched into a week, and hope frayed. Media picked up the story. Headlines like, "Young ecologist lost in Amazon mystery," drawing international attention. Volunteers swelled the ranks, including experts from conservation NGOs. They deployed dogs trained for scent tracking, but the heavy rains washed away trails. Maria flew to the park's edge, joining the command post in a tent buzzing with maps and radios. She stared at Sophia's photo pinned to a board, her daughter beaming in hiking boots, eyes alive with curiosity. "She'd fight," Maria whispered to Diego. "She always does." Yet the jungle yielded no clues. Whispers started among the searchers, maybe a caiman attack or a fall into a ravine. The Amazon's predators were legendary: jaguars, electric eels, and yes, giant snakes. But anacondas rarely targeted humans. They preferred capybaras or deer. Still, the thought lingered. On day 10, a breakthrough seemed imminent when a guide found a shredded backpack strap near the river. Hearts raced as they tested it. Matches Sophia's brand. But analysis showed it was old, unrelated. False hope crushed spirits. Maria broke down that night, sobbing in Diego's arms. "Where is she?" The search expanded, covering 50 square kilometers, but the terrain was brutal. Steep slopes slick with mud, swarms of mosquitoes carrying disease. Costs mounted, resources strained. Mendoza confided to Diego, "We can't search forever, but we'll keep looking." Then on August 14th, 2 weeks after Sophia's last message, a patrol of indigenous guides from the Waorani community ventured deeper, following a game trail rarely used. They were miles from her planned route, drawn by reports of unusual animal activity. As they crested a ridge, one guide, Kawa, froze. Coiled under a fallen log was the largest anaconda he'd ever seen. Over 20 feet long, its olive-green scales banded with black and yellow, thick as a man's thigh. But it wasn't the size that stunned them. It was the massive, unnatural bulge midway down its body, distending the snake like a swallowed log. The creature lay sluggish, barely moving, digesting whatever prey it had claimed. Kawa radioed base. "We found something. Big snake. Something inside." Excitement rippled through the command post. Anacondas were known to take large meals, but a human? Rare, but not impossible. Mendoza dispatched a team with tranquilizers and vets. Maria's pulse quickened. Could this be it? The guides approached cautiously. The snake hissed but didn't strike, too full to flee. They sedated it, then hoisted the beast onto a stretcher, a grueling trek back to a clearing for helicopter extraction. News crews descended as the anaconda was airlifted to a wildlife center in Quito. Speculation exploded. Was this Sophia's fate? At the center, under bright lights, biologists prepared for necropsy. Maria and Diego waited outside, gripping each other. The lead vet, Dr. Lena Torres, sliced open the snake's belly with precision. The stench hit first, decomposing flesh mixed with gastric acids. Then the reveal. Tangled in the snake's stomach were human remains, skeletal with patches of tissue, clad in remnants of hiking clothes. A necklace glinted, a silver pendant Maria had given Sophia for her birthday. Dental records confirmed it later that day. The body was Sofia Valdez. The world reeled. How had a 24-year-old hiker ended up inside a giant snake? The discovery wasn't just shocking, it demanded answers. If you're gripped by this tale of mystery in the wild, smash that like button and subscribe for more unbelievable true stories from the edge of survival. The investigation was just beginning, peeling back layers of the Amazon's deadly secrets. The confirmation of Sofia Valdez's remains inside the anaconda sent shockwaves through the wildlife center in Quito, where Dr. Lena Torres and her team worked late into the night, piecing together the grim puzzle. The autopsy revealed more than just a tragic end. It hinted at a story of desperation and survival that defied belief. Maria and Diego stood outside, tears streaming as they clung to each other, the silver pendant now a haunting relic. Inside, the vets carefully extracted the skeletal remains, noting the condition with clinical precision. The bones showed no signs of crushing, unusual for an anaconda kill, which typically involves constriction. Instead, the fractures suggested a fall, broken ribs, a shattered collarbone, and a cracked skull. Sophia hadn't been hunted. She'd been injured, vulnerable, and the snake had seized an opportunity. Dr. Torres pieced it together with the help of Park Ranger Javier Castillo, who'd led the initial search. The last satellite ping placed Sophia near a steep ravine along the Shiripuno River, a treacherous drop hidden by dense foliage. Javier recalled the terrain: slippery moss, loose rocks, a 30-foot fall into a narrow gully. She could have slipped, he said, voice low. One wrong step, and the jungle takes you. The theory gained traction. Sophia had fallen, likely unconscious or too injured to move, her bright orange tent torn apart by the impact, scattered beyond recognition. The anaconda, drawn by the scent of blood or her stillness, had swallowed her whole, a rare but documented behavior when prey is incapacitated. The snake's slow digestion explained the 2-week delay. It had been processing her since early August. The discovery fueled a media frenzy. Headlines screamed, "Hiker eaten by anaconda," sensational, but not entirely accurate. Experts debated online, some calling it a fluke, others citing rare cases in the Amazon where snakes took humans, especially children or the elderly. Sophia, at 24 and fit, was an anomaly. Biologists examined the anaconda, a female over 25 years old, its stomach stretched to an unnatural capacity. They found traces of her gear, shredded fabric from her pack, a melted water bottle warped by gastric heat. But one question burned brighter than the rest. How had she ended up alone and defenseless? The jungle didn't give up its secrets easily. Maria refused to let the story end there. She demanded answers, her grief turning to a fierce determination. She enlisted Javier and a team of local trackers, including Kawa, the Waorani guide who'd found the snake. They returned to the ravine, retracing Sophia's likely path. The air was thick with humidity, mosquitoes buzzing like a living cloud. They found the gully, jagged rocks stained with faint traces of blood, a snapped vine where she might have grabbed for balance. Nearby, a crushed GPS unit lay half-buried, its screen cracked but still displaying her last coordinates. It was a breakthrough, a silent witness to her fall. Kawa pointed to drag marks leading from the gully to a muddy bank, evidence the snake had pulled her away after the attack. The team scoured the area, uncovering more clues. A journal page, soggy but legible, detailed Sophia's excitement about a rare orchid she'd spotted hours before. Her last entry, dated August 1st, read, "Found it. Purple petals, unreal. Heading back soon." The orchid was a lead. Javier knew of a steep ridge where it grew off her planned route. Had she veered off to document it, risking the ravine? The pieces fit, but a shadow lingered. The drag marks ended at the river's edge, suggesting the snake had submerged with its prey, a behavior to avoid detection. It explained why search dogs had failed. The scent trail was underwater. Back in Quito, Dr. Torres analyzed the remains further, finding something odd. Embedded in Sophia's ribcage was a small wooden splinter, not from the jungle floor, but carved, possibly from a tool. It sparked a chilling possibility. Had someone been there? The thought gnawed at Javier. Poachers roamed the Amazon, hunting rare species or plants like the orchid Sophia sought. Could she have crossed paths with them, leading to her fall? He dug into park records, finding reports of illegal activity near the Shiripuno in 2012, unconfirmed sightings of men with machetes. The splinter could have come from a makeshift weapon or shelter. Maria's eyes darkened when he shared this. She trusted the jungle, she said, not the people in it. The investigation shifted, a new urgency driving the team. They interviewed locals, piecing together rumors of a group seen near the ridge days before Sophia's disappearance. One elder, Tahu, recalled hearing a scream followed by silence, unusual for the forest's constant noise. The timeline aligned with her fall. Javier mapped the area, marking the ridge, gully, and river. The snake's lair was downstream, a mile from where Sophia went down. It painted a picture: an accidental fall, a predator's strike, and a body carried by the current. But the splinter hinted at more, a human element lurking in the shadows. What had Sophia stumbled into? The answer lay deeper in the jungle's heart, waiting to be uncovered. If you're hooked by this wild turn of events, smash that like button and subscribe for more jaw-dropping stories from the unknown. The mystery was far from over. The splinter in Sofia Valdez's ribcage became the key that unlocked a darker chapter, pushing Javier Castillo and his team deeper into the Amazon's shadows. Back at the command post, a makeshift tent lit by flickering lanterns, Javier pored over the evidence with Kawa and Tahu. The carved wood wasn't jungle debris. It was too smooth, too deliberate, hinting at human hands. Tahu, his weathered face creased with memory, spoke of a poaching ring active in 2012, targeting rare orchids and wildlife for black market trade. They move like ghosts, he said, silent, ruthless. The timeline fit. Sophia's last journal entry about the purple orchid placed her near their territory. Had she interrupted them, triggering her fall? Javier contacted park authorities, pulling records of poaching incidents. A report from July 2012 flagged a group near the Shiripuno Ridge. 3 men, armed with machetes and sacks, seen by a patrol boat. No arrests, no names, just a vague description. Local hires, possibly led by an outsider. The splinter could have come from a tool or crate they carried. Maria, listening nearby, gripped Diego's hand. She wouldn't have backed down, she whispered. If she saw them, she'd confront them. Sophia's passion for conservation was fierce. She'd once chased off loggers in the Andes. Javier nodded grimly. This could explain the scream Tahu heard. The team geared up for a new search focusing on the ridge. The jungle fought them every step. Thorny vines snagged their clothes. Mud sucked at their boots. Kawa led, his keen eyes spotting a faint trail. Crushed leaves, a discarded cigarette butt weathered but recent. They followed it to a clearing where the orchid grew, its purple petals vivid against the green. Nearby, a shallow pit held charred wood and ash, a poacher's campsite abandoned in haste. Among the debris, they found a broken machete blade and a scrap of burlap stained with plant sap, evidence of orchid harvesting. But no sign of Sophia's confrontation, until Kawa unearthed a bloodied bandana, its pattern matching her gear. The find sent a chill through the team. The poachers likely saw her fall, maybe even caused it by startling her off the ridge. The bandana suggested they'd been close, perhaps looting her pack before fleeing. Javier bagged the evidence, rushing it to Dr. Lena Torres in Quito. Her lab analysis confirmed human blood, Sophia's type, and traces of orchid resin, linking the scene to her last journal entry. The splinter's origin remained unclear, but a forensic carpenter suggested it matched tools used for digging or crate building, common among poachers. The picture sharpened. Sophia stumbled on their operation, a scuffle ensued, and she fell. The anaconda took her later, drawn by the chaos. Maria demanded justice, her voice breaking as she faced Javier. Find who did this. The team traced the poacher's likely escape route along the river, questioning locals. An old fisherman, Paco, recalled seeing a boat with 3 men on August 2nd, heading downstream with heavy sacks. He described a tall figure, scarred face, barking orders, possibly the leader. Park rangers launched a manhunt, but the Amazon swallowed their trail. The poachers had vanished, leaving Sophia's fate sealed by nature's jaws. Back at the Wildlife Center, Dr. Torres examined the anaconda further. The snake's stomach held more clues, a melted compass and a shredded map fragment, marking the ridge. Sophia had fought to orient herself post-fall only to succumb. The discovery fueled outrage. Her death wasn't just an accident, but a ripple of human greed. Media coverage intensified, pressuring authorities to act. Javier vowed to keep searching even as resources dwindled. The case shifted focus to identifying the poachers. Tahu suggested a name, Raul Vargas, a known trader in rare plants, rumored to operate from Peru. Interpol was alerted, but leads were thin. Maria clung to the bandana, a piece of her daughter's spirit. The jungle had claimed Sophia, yet the human hand behind her fall loomed large. What secrets did Raul Vargas hold? The answer lay beyond the Amazon's edge, a hunt just beginning. If this twist has you on edge, smash that like button and subscribe for more untold mysteries from the wild. The name Raul Vargas hung in the air like a storm cloud, driving Javier Castillo and his team to push beyond the Amazon's borders in search of justice for Sofia Valdez. Back at the command post, the humid tent buzzed with renewed energy as Javier coordinated with Interpol and Peruvian authorities. Tahu's tip about Vargas, a shadowy figure tied to the black market plant trade, offered a lifeline. Known for his scarred face and ruthless efficiency, Vargas had evaded capture for years, slipping between countries with sacks of rare orchids and wildlife parts. If he was the leader, he might hold the key to Sofia's final moments. Maria and Diego watched, hope flickering in their tired eyes, as Javier mapped a plan to track him down. The team started with the fisherman Paco's account, cross-referencing it with Border Patrol logs. On August 3, 2012, a small boat crossed into Peru near Iquitos, carrying 3 men and heavy cargo. No names, but the timing matched the poachers' escape. Javier contacted a Peruvian ranger, Elena Morales, who'd tracked Vargas before. She confirmed his base, a ramshackle outpost on the Nanay River, hidden by mangroves. He's slippery, she warned. Uses locals as muscle, pays them off. With Interpol's backing, a joint task force assembled, Javier, Kawa, Elena, and a Peruvian SWAT unit. They set out on September 1, 2012, a month after Sofia's disappearance, the urgency palpable. The journey was grueling. The Nanay's waters were choked with floating logs, the air thick with the stench of decay. Kawa navigated with a spear in hand, his Waorani instincts sharp. They reached the outpost at dusk, a cluster of huts surrounded by barbed wire, guarded by 2 men with rifles. Elena signaled a stealth approach, and the team moved in silently. A quick raid netted the guards, who spilled under pressure. They worked for Vargas, who'd fled days earlier after a big score. Inside a hut they found crates of dried orchids, including the purple variety Sofia had documented, and a ledger with coded entries. One date, August 2nd, stood out, linked to a rush job near Shiripuno. The evidence pointed to Vargas orchestrating the poaching that likely led to Sofia's fall. The ledger hinted at a buyer in Lima, triggering a citywide search. Elena's contacts traced a payment to a warehouse on the outskirts where police raided on September 5th. They found Vargas, tall, scarred, his cold eyes narrowing as cuffs clicked. Interrogation revealed a chilling tale. He admitted his crew was harvesting orchids on the ridge when Sofia appeared, camera in hand. She shouted, threatened to report us, he said, voice flat. One of my men pushed her. Didn't mean for her to fall. We ran when we heard the scream. No intent to kill, just panic and greed. The bandana, he claimed, was left behind in their haste. Maria's heart sank. Sofia's courage had cost her life. Back in Quito, Dr. Lina Torres re-examined the evidence with this confession. The splinter in Sofia's ribcage matched a crate tool found in Vargas's warehouse, confirming his crew's presence. The anaconda's role was secondary, a scavenger of opportunity. Torres presented the findings to Maria and Diego, who sat numbly. She fought for what she believed in, Torres said softly. That's who she was. The news brought closure but no comfort. Vargas and his men faced charges, manslaughter, poaching, illegal trade, sentencing pending. Yet the jungle's indifference lingered. It had claimed Sofia after human hands set the stage. Maria turned her grief into action, founding a conservation fund in Sofia's name to protect the Amazon's biodiversity. Diego joined her, their pain fueling a mission to honor their daughter. Javier, haunted by the case, kept the bloodied bandana as a reminder. The media hailed Sofia as a martyr, her story inspiring global outrage against poaching. But a nagging question remained. What else had the jungle hidden? Kawa, on a final patrol, found a cracked lens near the ridge, part of Sofia's camera, its memory card intact. Developed images showed the orchid, then a blurred figure fleeing. Evidence of the push? It was sent to court, strengthening the case. The Amazon had given up its secrets, but its depths still whispered mysteries. Vargas's trial loomed, promising justice. Yet Maria wondered if Sophia's spirit lingered in the canopy she loved. The investigation closed, but the wild held more tales, waiting to be told. If this journey through the jungle's dark heart has you captivated, smash that like button and subscribe for more gripping stories from the edge of the unknown. The cracked lens from Sofia Valdez's camera, unearthed by Kawa near the Shiripuno Ridge, became the final piece in a mosaic of justice, its blurred image of a fleeing figure sealing Raul Vargas's fate. Back in Quito, the courtroom buzzed on October 10, 2012, as prosecutors laid out the case. Maria and Diego sat in the front row, hands clasped, their faces a mix of resolve and sorrow. Javier Castillo testified, his voice steady as he described the ridge, the bandana, and the ledger linking Vargas to the poaching operation. Dr. Lina Torres presented the forensic evidence, the splinter, the blood, the anaconda's stomach contents, each detail painting a picture of a young woman's last stand. The memory card, painstakingly recovered by tech experts, showed Sophia's final shots. The vibrant orchid, a shaky pan to 3 men with sacks, and that fateful blur of motion as one shoved her toward the ravine. The jury didn't waver. Vargas and his 2 accomplices were convicted of manslaughter and illegal trade, sentenced to 15 years each. The gavel fell, a hollow echo in Maria's heart. Outside the courthouse, media swarmed, dubbing Sofia the Amazon Guardian, her story igniting a global movement. Conservation groups rallied, raising millions for the Sofia Valdez Fund, which Maria and Diego channeled into anti-poaching patrols and habitat protection in Yasuni National Park. The fund hired local Waorani like Kawa, turning their tracking skills into a force for preservation. Javier, now a park supervisor, led these efforts, his office adorned with Sofia's photo and the bandana, a shrine to her legacy. Yet the victory felt incomplete. The Amazon had taken Sofia, and no sentence could bring her back. Maria often visited the park's edge, staring into the green expanse, whispering to the wind, "You're still here, aren't you?" The anaconda, meanwhile, became a symbol of the jungle's duality. After the necropsy, it was released back into the wild, its role in Sofia's death a grim footnote. Biologists tracked it with a radio tag, studying its behavior to understand such rare attacks. Data showed it returned to the Shiripuno area, perhaps drawn by familiar prey patterns. Dr. Torres published a paper, "Predation Anomalies in the Amazon," sparking debate among her peers. Some praised her for shedding light on human-wildlife conflict. Others criticized the focus on a single case. The snake's story faded from headlines, but for Maria, it remained a haunting image, Sofia's end swallowed by nature's jaws. The trial's aftermath unearthed more layers. Interpol investigations revealed Vargas's network stretched across South America, supplying rare plants to collectors in Europe and Asia. A raid in Lima uncovered a warehouse with orchids matching Sofia's photos, leading to 8 more arrests. The crackdown disrupted the trade, but poaching persisted, a hydra with many heads. Maria pushed for stricter laws, testifying before Ecuador's Congress in November 2012. Her voice, raw with loss, moved lawmakers to pass the Sofia Act, imposing harsher penalties and funding park enforcement. It was a triumph, yet she felt Sofia's absence keenly during the signing ceremony, her daughter's empty chair a silent witness. Diego found solace in action, joining patrols with Javier. On a sweep in December 2012, they discovered a new orchid species near the ridge, its petals a deep violet with golden streaks. They named it Orchidacea Sophia, a living tribute. Botanists flocked to study it, boosting tourism and funding for the fund. Kawa, guiding a group, shared Sophia's story, his quiet pride a bridge between cultures. The plant's discovery hinted at undiscovered wonders and dangers in the jungle, fueling Maria's resolve to protect it. But the Amazon held one last secret. In January 2013, a fisherman hauling nets near the ravine snagged something heavy. He pulled up a waterlogged pack, its orange fabric faded but recognizable as Sophia's. Inside, sealed in a waterproof pouch, was her journal, pages swollen but legible. The final entries, dated August 2, chronicled her orchid find, then a sudden shift. Heard voices, men with sacks, told them to stop. They shouted back, pushed me, falling. The last page was smeared with mud, her pen's final mark a jagged line. It confirmed the confrontation, her fall and the poacher's flight. Javier presented it to Maria, who clutched it like a lifeline. She fought to the end, she said, tears falling. The journal became evidence in appeals, strengthening the convictions. The find reopened old wounds but also brought peace. Maria and Diego held a memorial at the park's edge, releasing lanterns into the night sky, their glow mirroring Sophia's spirit. Locals joined, singing Waurani songs, honoring her as a guardian of their land. The event drew tourists, raising awareness and funds. Javier, reflecting on the case, realized the jungle wasn't just a killer. It was a mirror, reflecting human greed and resilience. He vowed to keep patrolling, ensuring Sophia's sacrifice wasn't in vain. Yet whispers persisted among the Waurani. Tahu spoke of spirits in the canopy, suggesting Sophia's presence lingered, watching over the orchid. Maria smiled at the thought, finding comfort in the mystery. The Amazon had taken her daughter, but it also gave back, through justice, a flower, a legacy. The jungle's heart beat on, its secrets buried deep, waiting for the next soul brave enough to listen. If this tale of survival and redemption has you enthralled, smash that like button and subscribe for more incredible stories from the wild's edge.